You're listening to the New York Said Podcast.
Fear not, my friends. This will be my greatest performance.
Give it to me.
Here we go. We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Steve, where are we?
We are currently in Soho.
What you love about Soho?
I love people watching in Soho. Best dressed, most attractive. I come to Soho every day.
All right, so tell me your name, like your whole name, the name of your company, and what does your company do? Like, do you consider yourself a small business?
I guess I am a small business. My name is Stephen R. McFadden. My business is called McFadden Creative. It's a one-man band video agency specializing in short-form content.
And what is exactly like short-form content? Like, what does that entail?
So basically, for me, short-form content means anything under 5 minutes.
When did you know that you were a creative?
I knew I was a creative when I had to figure out what I was going to do. And then basically when I chose video, that was it. Fell in love with it. It was a lot of fun. And I knew that was going to be the ticket from there on out.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi.
What did you study in school?
I studied radio, TV, and film, and then film and video, and then entertainment business.
And how long do you think you've been in business as far as being a creative?
I did my first freelance job in 2007 or 2008 was my first freelance.
Talk to me about the life of, like, okay, you went through school, and then what happened up until now? Let's see if you could tell it in long form, like you started this way and then you graduated and you got to, and how did you get to New York? Tell me the whole thing.
Yeah, I got the whole story. I could do it pretty quick. After school in 2002, I came to New York City. I did an intern at BET. I was an intern on Rap City The Basement with Big Tigger. I used to write his questions every week or every day. It was a super cool job. It was unpaid in 2002. After that, 2003, I got my first job working on cruise ships. That was amazing. That was my first time getting real money. I was outside of the country.
Name some of the countries that you visited through the job working on the cruise ships, and what cruise ship did you work for?
2003, I worked for Norwegian Cruise Line, and I did a bunch of Caribbean islands, St. Thomas, Tortola, Bermuda, Bahamas.
What was your job title?
My job title at Norwegian was television coordinator, was my job at Norwegian.
Okay, next, what happened?
And then basically finished up school, got a bachelor's degree in entertainment business, worked at some restaurants.
What school did you go to?
I went to Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida.
Okay, keep going.
Yep, and then worked in restaurants for a little while, did retail for a little while. I did a small intern. I did another small job at another production company, and then I went back to cruise ships in 2006, and I was working for Royal Caribbean, and my title there was broadcast tech.
What place did you go with that Caribbean spot?
Yep, and then with Royal Caribbean, I also did Caribbean islands, but there I also spent 6 months in the Mediterranean. So, all those incredible countries, Greece, Italy, Spain, Egypt, places people dream about going, I used to go.
And what was the biggest thing you learned from, working on the cruise ships?
The biggest thing I learned from working on cruise ships was how to shoot with the edit in mind. Most of the things I shot had to be on television or to tape, either later that night or first thing in the morning, so there wasn't much time to overthink edits or anything like that.
Or overshoot.
It had to go out, and literally back then we used to sell a DVD at the end of the cruise, and the DVD was already formatted. And so there were different segments of different nights and different activities. The edit was already built inside of Avid, and some segments I knew only had 17 places for shots because we wouldn't change the edit. We would just plop in new shots of the same formatted edit.
Efficiency.
So I would go to, one of the events was called the Captain's Cocktail, and it was like a cocktail hour with the captain. But I knew I only needed 13 shots from that night to make the fucking video. So I would literally just get 13 shots, and once I had them, I knew I was done for the night. And I could just literally go plop it in to the edit.
And what would you do when you weren't doing those edits?
When I wasn't doing those edits, I was probably shooting something and/or in the crew cabin or the crew bar drinking.
So if somebody wanted to I want to work on the cruise ships, what's one thing they need to keep in mind before they take to the high seas?
It's time consuming and it's hard. Imagine going to your day job in the office and the building leaves and it doesn't come back until 6 months from now. That's what.
So
you're stuck with all those coworkers. You're stuck in that same office. You're stuck in.
So if you have a problem with somebody, you're gonna have you can't even leave the boat to to kind of like get away from things, you just got to go back to work back on the same place for 6 months.
Yep, and there's no days off for 6 months. So you work every single day. You work until, depending on what your job is, you work until midnight every night, and that's kind of it. But luckily, people's contracts and their schedules vary in time. So you might work for somebody you hate for a month, and then you work for somebody you love for like 2 months. And people come and go, so it's good.
And then what happened after the boats?
After the boats, I moved to South Beach. I worked on the TV show Miami Inc. for a little while. I was a production secretary, so I used to make coffee in the morning. I used to print out the scripts of like upcoming episodes, and that was in South Beach. And what else did I do in South Beach? Yeah, I think that was it. And then in 2008, he was like, "Yo, come work with me at Miles." And then
When you say you was like, who you talking about?
I'm talking to my brother, Mon fucking Focus.
Oh shit, you finally called me your brother. It took 24 years, everybody. Okay, my bad.
So me and you worked together for like probably 10 months or something like that. We was on the road. We was doing travel videos. We was having a blast. We was eating ribs and steaks every night. And like,
We was bugging out, right?
Bugging out.
That was a dream job. Let's talk about that for a second. We was like, from anywhere from like Key West to like Floribama.
Yeah, totally. All over. And a big Winnebago.
In a big Winnebago. And on top of that, we would go to like golf courses, vineyards,
breakfasts, restaurants.
and we got a salary.
Alligator farms. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
That was probably one of the things I was like,
It was definitely a highlight of my career. Like, it was definitely it was especially pivotal coming from basically all the jobs that I did before that were basically all sort of like analog and tape. And basically from that point on, when I started that job in 2008, that was really web 2.0 of what we now know as like web content.
Yeah.
That we called web video back in those days. That was pre-Snapchat, pre-Instagram, pre-TikTok. It was pre all that stuff when the only other place for video was YouTube, Vimeo, and like an embedded video on a website.
And a lot of those places were still being built. Like they were there, but they didn't have all the bells and whistles that they have right now.
Yeah, YouTube didn't have ads. YouTube didn't even have HD uploads at that point. Vimeo was the only place that had HD uploads at that point.
Yeah, and Vimeo was eating their food when it came to clarity.
Yeah, they were eating their food, and it had like a bit of social built in too. But
yeah, we're geeking out on that. So what happened after that?
So
what happened what happened when you were working at Miles? What was the pivotal moment?
No, Miles was great, and that was what was the pivotal moment of Miles? Just to travel again, just learning how to shoot with the edit in mind of like the bread and butter of like the work we did was basically 3-minute videos, destination videos. So it was really about being in and out with the information, keeping it quippy, keeping it fun. And I think, honestly, if I'm being honest, my entire style and format and formula is all based off the work we did at Miles. Yeah. Everything I make now is still in that vein of like short form content, simple cuts, no crazy edits, hosted content, and super clean and fun.
Perfect. And then what happened after Miles?
After Miles, that was a bit of that was like 08, 09 when everything hit the fan with the economy. But basically in 2010, I started working in education at St. Pete College.
No, talk about the thing. I mean, I get it. That's cool. We're going to get to that. I'm kind of rude. I apologize. Are you used to it? 24 years I've known this guy. Are you used to it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But I apologize for being rude.
That's all good.
But talk to me about like what happened. Like, so you got laid off at Miles, and talk about that, and then what deal you cut, and how'd you begin to get on your own. Like, talk about that.
Yeah, no, it was bittersweet. That was probably one of the best jobs you could have at that point in time in video. And just like all things with all companies, man, things, went south and got laid off. But at the time, I didn't have any equipment, so I made
it was the economy. Like,
it was totally the economy. It wasn't any doings of Miles. It was just what was happening. But but I made a deal. I was like, I really need video equipment because up until that point, I didn't own anything. And they, they offered me the equipment, and it was perfect, exactly what I needed. And that was when I really started like freelancing for real, was at that point, because now I had a computer and now I had a camera.
And you had a tripod too.
Yeah, I had a tripod. I got
a microphone set.
I had a whole Sony microphone set.
I'm gonna just, I was very impressed with the deal that you cut, because everybody was getting severance packages, and you was like,
they offered me the severance package, and I was like, but I was like, can you deduct whatever the cost of this camera is to y'all, and just give me the rest, in money? And I remember I was talking to Ben. He was like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Whatever this is worth for y'all now, just take that out of my severance." He was like, "Okay." And he made the deal, so I took like a little bit less money than what maybe everybody else.
What made you make? Because to me that was so smart. Because I was like, he didn't just take all the bread and then like if he had to buy brand new gear, then it would cost. But that was so ingenious to say.
Yeah, because I knew it was used, and basically when companies are at that point, and I don't want to put any like
they're gonna liquidate and shit like that.
Yeah, they're liquidated, so they're looking to save money and keep capital as much as possible. So if that means cutting somebody a little less, dough, but like at that point there wasn't going to be a video department, so they had no need for that equipment. So it was like,
when I had resigned right before that whole thing because I had moved back to New York.
Yeah,
like a few months, and then I got a gig that allowed me to get a camera and a laptop and whatever, and I did the same thing. I just started working on I haven't had a job since.
Yeah, it's having your own equipment. Like I tell my girlfriend all the time, I'm like, jobs are great, but at the end of the day, if you are really good at creating and you got a laptop and a camera, you can always work. And like nobody can ever take that from you. Mm-hmm. And as long as you have that, you can go. You might not make a lot of money, but you can do something. You
pay some bills and eat at the very least.
At the very least, So just be good at what you do, and yeah.
So then what happened?
So where was I in the story? So that was So I got laid off, but now I had equipment, and then I'm basically for a year I would just go shoot strange stuff with my friends in Sarasota. I would create original content, and I would post it, and I would put it all on Facebook because that was the only place I could get eyeballs to any of the stuff I was making. And then quickly, people started asking me to make stuff, and people were paying me to make stuff, locally. So
let me get this straight, because I love this thing that I came up with. That sounds kind of arrogant too. Does that sound arrogant?
Because you're arrogant. And we keep it all the way fucking.
I ain't arrogant, bro. I'm
my bad. Cocky.
I'm not even cocky. Like, I'm just chilling. All right. What I like to tell young people when I do talks or whatever, I say, create the work you want to be hired to do.
Exactly.
So just create the stuff, and then eventually you'll be known for that, and they'll be like, can you do that for me?
Yeah. And even if they don't want you to do that thing specifically, they know you're capable of doing something equivalent.
Bang. That's
so
it. Yeah.
The fact that they see that you can, this guy's a decent editor, this guy knows this, he knows that, he can at least do something else for us, So it's just about keeping that quality that people can understand and see that you're capable of doing, more.
Yeah, okay. And then what happened?
Yeah, so then I did that, and that was fun. And then in 2010, I got hired at St. Pete College in St. Pete, Florida.
How did they find you, or did you just like find out? You applied?
Yeah, I applied for the job, and got a call back and had an interview, and the interview went well, and I hit it off with what became my boss, and she was really cool, and I worked that job for the next 5 years, and that was a perfect job because it wasn't full time, it was half time. And basically half-time, it's different from part-time because half-time is basically when you're salaried for 20 hours.
Yeah.
So I still got health benefits. I still got all this stuff.
Wow. So you was on some nice shit.
Yeah. So I only worked 3 days a week. So I had 2 days to myself that I could go freelance.
I love that. That sounds like he was going fast, right? But he was going like 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was crazy. No, half-time is different from part-time because half-time you're salaried for 20 hours a week, and I still got health benefits and all that kind of stuff, but I only worked 3 days a week. And so, yeah, it was perfect, and I still had time to work on my other stuff and do freelance gigs or just go to the beach. That's what I did most days.
I mean, you're in Sarasota.
Yeah, I was in Sarasota, so, like, I had beaches to go to. So
Some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, according to me going, of course, and you going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, all the news and travel channels. It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real place. And I ended up working that job for the next 5 years, but it was so dope because I could kind of schedule my week to whatever shoots came up. So I worked with a lot of professors and teachers. So the department I was in was called Web Instructional Technology. So the faculty that worked in that department, they helped teachers and professors build out their curriculum using tech and just other things. So it was like a perfect, scenario for me to be able to, shoot workshops for teachers or shoot informational videos, or if there was a new initiative going on campus, I would cover that, or if there was different events going on at different campuses. And St. Pete College had 7 different campuses around St. Pete. So I had a main office, but it was a lot of time traveling to other campuses and being able to, meet people there and create, all kinds of stuff. So it was a perfect mix, but it was perfect because at a certain point, I could just schedule out my week. So I could say work Monday to Wednesday, have Thursday, Friday off, and then not go back to work until the Wednesday of the following week, so I could theoretically have 6-day weekends.
Jesus.
So
A 6-day weekend?
Yeah. So I would have Thursday, Friday, the weekend, and Monday, Tuesday off. And then not show back up to work until Wednesday.
And when times is hard, do you ever miss that job?
All the time. It was a great job, and my boss was great. And the crazy thing is, for the first, I think, 2 years or 3 years of that job, because I had it set up like that, I never took my vacation time. So I had like 2 or 3 years of vacation time built up.
And they cut a check for it?
No, I mean, it built up over time, so it accumulated. So I think at the third year, when I accumulated all this time, I took like a 2-week or 3-week trip to California. I had never been. I went to like a big Volkswagen show. I went and saw my sister. It was good. So I accumulated all this time. And then at the end, I still had all this time accumulated because I didn't abuse it because I had all this other time off. So
I remember coming to visit you, and you just had this zen about you, that you had this Floridian, I ain't really island glow.
I tell people here in New York City all the time, I was living my retirement when I had that job. I was living my retirement. I was at the beach 4 days out of the week. I had cheap rent.
How much was the rent?
I had a 2-bedroom house with a backyard.
A house.
I
remember this. It was adorable.
I had 2 cars. I had a backyard. I had a barbecue grill.
How much was what was the paying?
$600 a month.
$600 a month.
And then the last year I was there.
It sounds like you were about to say, but it was the 80s. But was it 2014 or something?
It was 2000. Yeah, 2012 to 15 or something like that. And then the last year I was there, I think it was $650 or something like that. But yeah, $600.
Bro, I just remember I
had it so good, man.
You were chilling. And so what was it? Okay, and then what happened? Okay, what broke the bubble of chilling?
No, it's both you and I are students of all things creative, and we both spend the time online watching stuff, studying stuff, and being amazed about stuff.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of video content, and a lot of stuff that I was watching was either out of New York or LA, and all the agency-based stuff was all out of New York City. So I was like, I guess I'll give New York a try again. But basically, I was like, oh, I'm old. At that point, I was 35. I was like, I got experience. I've had all these jobs. I'm more prepared to go to New York now than I was the first time around. But the tricky thing is, when you're not from a town, you got to start all over again. So I was 35, thinking I had all this experience, but nobody knew any of the names on my resume. I hadn't worked with anybody here, so I was basically starting at the bottom again. So I started going through a creative temp agency called Creative Circle, and I got a lot of, jobs that way of maybe 2 days here, 1 day here, 3 days somewhere else.
And what year was this?
This was 2015.
Okay.
And then I gotten some other jobs independent of that too. So just instantly thrown into the gauntlet of the New York City hustle. And
I remember in 2014 I had a book release for New York Said, and you were there.
Yeah, I flew up. That was crazy because for that book release, I drove from Sarasota. I went to Art Basel by myself.
In Miami.
I did 3 days at Art Basel, hardcore. I went to all these parties, went to all the galleries. I drove back from Miami to Tampa, caught a flight, came to New York book launch, went hard that, and then went right back.
And then the pictures, you look you just chilling.
Yeah.
Because you were still on that zenned out.
Yeah, zenned out, man. I'm a beach bum at heart, man, so... Yeah.
And so did you just walk up to the your boss and was like, hey, I gotta leave, and what was your resignation looking like?
No, I was so nervous because I had never, up until that point, I don't think I had ever really properly resigned from a job. When I was on cruise ships, you just say, oh, I don't want to do another contract, and it's fine. It's not like an official resignation. You just say, I don't want to go back.
It kind of comes with the territory. They kind of know people that are like, okay, I'm done. I hit a wall.
Yeah, and then you can easily tap back in, But with this job, I had never, properly resigned. I was so nervous because in my head, I'm thinking oh, I'm gonna get in trouble. Somebody's gonna be mad at me. And I just remember pacing around my house for probably a day or so. And then even that morning, I was gonna call my boss to let her know. And I sat on the steps of my the back door into the backyard of my house. I'll never forget this. And I called my boss, Vicky Westergaard, and I told her, I was like, this is my resignation. I think this is it. And she was like, I'm so happy that I had you for as long as I did. She was like, I'm surprised you stayed this long. Those are her exact words.
Wow.
And I never forget that. She was the coolest boss ever. She was
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry, but she was just like, I'm surprised.
I mean, if you want to cry now, you can.
No, I'm not crying, man.
Okay.
But she was like, I'm surprised that you were here for this long. And I was like, and just hearing that, it just took all the stress away. It wasn't a bad thing. And she was like, yeah, cool, great.
And it was green lights all the way.
Yeah. And she was like, she understood. I was like, I'm going to New York. She was like, great. She was like, And even now, I post something on Facebook, she likes it, she comments on it. So
Okay, nice.
it was all love. Yeah.
So you got back here, you started from scratch. When did things started to pick up for you?
So basically, I knew somebody here who brought me to the fold on some fashion projects, which is what I really wanted to do when I came to New York. I wanted to make fashion videos.
Okay.
Because in Sarasota, I was shooting these sort of like faux fashion videos there, and I was like, man, I could really go do this shit big time. So I came here, I got on some fashion videos. It was really cool. The biggest video I did had Emily Ratajkowski in it, the chick from Blurred Lines, if you remember.
Yeah.
And then some other models as well, and that was cool. But it was basically a combination of doing that work with work I was getting from Creative Circle, and then other stuff that I was finding on my own. And then soon, probably like 2 years later, and then I went back to Florida a lot in those first 2 years because I still had freelance clients, so they were flying me back to Florida to do work, which was really the godsend of the whole system. If I didn't have those Florida clients, New York probably wouldn't have worked for me. So the fact that I went back 6 times within 18 months to go do work was like incredible. And then at a certain point, I found another full-time job. So,
And where was that?
yeah. So then,
And then I think when you and I worked, you and I went to Kentucky at one point.
yeah, so I was still kind of in the fold of Miles. Like even like a couple years after I was laid off, like I remember they sent me to Kentucky 3 years in a row.
Yep.
During the summer, which was dope. And then we did a big group trip to Louisiana at one point.
And then you and I did a whole Louisiana thing. No, it was Kentucky. Remember we met the people at the soda shop?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
We did like a whole 10-day
that was
thing.
that was one of the summers. I remember I did Kentucky 3
You
years.
took a shot at me like holding a goat. I picked up a goat at this farm.
Yeah. So, yep. I remember the candy shop though.
Yeah, I'm still cool with them.
Yeah.
So then you got a full-time job where, and how'd that work out?
Yeah, this was back when I think it was kind of short-lived, but on Facebook at one point they had a job listing tab on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I saw they were looking for like a video producer at this company called IFundWomen, and I didn't think I had a shot because they worked with women entrepreneurs and all this stuff. But I applied, I got an interview, and then basically it was kind of a shock to them because I had all this work that was centered on women entrepreneurs and all these women that own businesses, plus all the fashion stuff. So they really had never seen really a guy with that much sort of women-centric work. And I was kind of a shoo-in, and I got the job. And then I worked for IFundWomen for the next 5 years as a video producer.
So what did you learn about that corporate life as opposed to corporate life at the school and at Miles working at the travel and hospitality, destination... This is a DMO, destination marketing organizations.
Yeah, it was very different. Education is like so different. Like you're just really helping. Is really the term. That's the only way to put it. But IFundWomen, it's a startup, and once you get to New York City, you get in the startup culture. It's kind of, I won't say it's cutthroat, but it's very different. And like everything is about KPIs. Everything is about quarterly earnings.
You say KPIs like I know. What does that mean?
Key performance indicators. So
key performance indicators.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's just like, it's all this like corporate jargon, and it's just all about numbers. It's all about, raising money, keeping money coming in, the next product or service, the company is going to offer. So really my time at IFundWomen was less about video, and it was all about business. Like that was my master class to business, because thankfully and fortunately the CEO, at the time we had like maybe 7 or 8 employees, and she allowed all the employees to be a part of the roadshow when we went and raised money. So a part of the roadshow, she went and pitched in front of investors, all women investors, but the employees all got to sit in on it. So I literally got to see a roadshow happen and got to see the preparation of pitch deck, how to talk to investors, term sheets, just all the stuff that happens in a startup with people raising, hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars. So that was just incredible to see. Like, I'm so glad I got to have that experience in New York City.
Fantastic. And then what happened?
So I worked there for 5 years, and then again, companies do layoffs. I got laid off, and then I went back to them short term as a freelancer to sort of like wrap up some looming stuff, and that was great. And then basically that came to an end and 2022, and I've been freelancing ever since. So I've been.
So what does it feel like?
Yeah.
What does it feel like to be back in the freelance world?
It's a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's dope. Sometimes it's like you reach the end, it's like, well, fuck, like nobody's calling, no projects to do. But it's all, you got to be prepared for the downtimes when you freelance. So it's been good, but luckily, people share my name with other people, so I've been able to get some pretty interesting clients as a result. Like I got Vita Coco as a client of mine now.
Vita Coco, those are the folks that make the coconut water.
Yeah, the coconut water and all those products, and like that's my client. Like I work directly with them, and that's just incredible that I have them as a client. My boss at IFundWomen, when she left, she went to another company called Vivi, which is kind of like a fancy high-end daycare here in New York City. She brought me in the fold. She doesn't even work for them anymore, and I still do work for that company, so like they're my client now. And so yeah, just being able to keep a good attitude, be a good person, and like keep your name in the streets, you know. So
I got 3 questions, then we out of here.
Yeah.
First one: if anybody was going to enter corporate, whether it's, let's just say New York corporate, because we're in New York, what should they know when they enter that world?
More specifically, what? Like
I don't know. I haven't worked in corporate.
just you got to be nimble. You got to
say all the corporate keywords.
Nah, I'm trying to avoid it, but you have to stay nimble.
Don't avoid it. Say what you got to say.
Yeah, you got to be nimble. You got to be flexible, and you got to be willing to learn. And you got to be willing to
evolve and adapt.
Evolve and adapt, and just take on things. And like, you know, the one thing I didn't know going into IFundWomen was that I was going to be doing these like calls every day and every week, and like some of them were kind of like sales calls, some of them were more like what they call discovery calls, so just trying to understand what people need. But like this job of me making videos, so I thought, turned into me being on the phone for probably 6 to 8 hours a week, you know, kind of like selling our services and letting people know what we offer. But then also those calls turned into like coaching calls, because we started offering coaching at a certain point. So for most of my time at IFundWomen, I was a coach. Like I was coaching women entrepreneurs about how to make a video, because like some people couldn't afford to pay for the video, so we had a service that they could pay for, a coaching call, and I would walk them through how to shoot their own marketing and crowdfunding videos. So I have coach on my resume as a result.
Man, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, somebody, now you know this world very well, the same way I know this world. Somebody is looking to go, I'm going to go work for myself. I want to be my own boss. I want to be a freelancer. I want to be an independent contractor. All the things.
Be good at what you do before you
Hold
go
up,
do that.
let me finish the thing.
That shit ain't for a week.
Hold on. You're already foaming at the mouth. Okay, now give me the answer.
What was the question again?
Okay, somebody wants to enter the world of being a freelancer, independent contractor, blah, blah, blah. What would you tell them? Hold up, I ain't get the microphone to you. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Be prepared to be slapped in the face a lot. Like it's going to be a lot of hard times. It's going to be a lot of time with the phone not ringing. There's going to be a lot of valleys amongst some of the peaks.
Okay.
And when I say some of the peaks, it's not a lot of them, but you got to be prepared for the peaks. You know, I mean for the valleys. So it's
give me something a little bit more uplifting.
No, that's true. That's the reality of it. It's not for everybody, man.
Okay,
and like,
you're right.
Because like, you know, at different times I had freelance and then always gone to get a full-time job. Like right now I'm in the market for a full-time, while freelancing is good, but it's just like, man, like if you don't have a number of things that you can scale outside of yourself, it has a shelf life. It's not sustainable, you know. So
It's not for the week.
Yeah, it's not for the week. So like if you have a great flow of just people calling you 365, 12 months, you know, out of the year, it's great. You can just keep doing that. But the reality is, if you don't have that many clients to keep calling you all the time, like you got to have something in place, and or just be really good with your cash and like save it. Like
Definitely save your bread.
like man, like say like for the past, ever since I started IFundWomen, I got so much better at saving money, only because I had so much more of it coming in than I had up until that point. But like, man, the fact that I've saved so much cash over that time prepped me for basically the last year and a half of being able to, you know, still take trips, still have money coming in, but like having float money. Float money is so important.
What is float money?
Float money is just like, man, like, oh, nobody called this month. All right, I can still eat. I could probably still go develop some film. I could probably still go pick up a shirt, a sweater, a jacket, maybe a pair of shoes. You can't do it all the time.
Right.
But it gives you the ability to take care of all your responsibilities, still take your girl out, and keep things moving, and you don't feel the pinch. Now, money don't last forever, so the shit will run dry, but you want enough of it that'll get you through 3-4 months while still having little stuff coming in. But like, you don't want to quickly deplete what you created.
Since we're on the topic, and I've lived that freelance life, independent contractor, whatever the hell you want to call it, since 2009. I've yet to get a job. The thing that I would add to that is do your taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure you put that 30% to the side.
Oh, yeah. It matters.
It definitely matters.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good. I've been good for several years now. But that was one of the mistakes I made early on, where you get this big check and you're like, hell yeah, and then forget to throw that 30 to the side. Oh, that's not a good look.
Yeah, definitely throw it to the side. And like I have a tax calculator tab open in my browser where basically you can just, you select your state or whatever, and let's just say you get like, a $2,000 job for like a project. You put that number in and it just tells you what you owe. And then usually I'll get that number and then I'll round it up to whatever. So
Same.
I'm always just putting like a little bit more.
Because I put so much that some of that becomes float money.
Exactly.
In a sense of...
Yeah, it definitely becomes, because like after taxes, after you pay, and you should, and for the record, you should be doing your taxes quarterly and not once a year at the end of the year. You should be doing it every quarter. But anyway, when you pay, like most people do at the end of the year, if you put in a little bit more, you realize like, oh, I got something left over.
Yeah.
And then that could be jump starting that same tax account for the following year, and or you can move that over to like your other, floating account.
There ain't no refund in freelance life.
No, ain't no refund at all.
There's no refund. So it's all pay.
Yeah.
Pay. There's no refund. I need to say that.
Yep.
I never got a refund. You ever got a refund?
Yeah, I definitely got refunds.
Well,
not while
I'm talking about,
freelancing.
I'm saying while freelance. I got them when I had a full time, but
absolutely, yeah.
So the last question I'm going to ask you is, throughout all this business, throughout all this work, throughout all these experiences, all these places you live, all these places you've gone to.
What's the most important thing I've learned in life?
Oh shit! How you know? How you know?
I'm an avid listener to the New York Sad podcast.
Okay, perfect. So you already know the answer. You already know the question there, and the question is, what have you learned? What has been the most important lesson you've learned from this whole experience?
Yeah, just be nice to people, man. Like the world is, it's a harsh place, man. Be nice to people. Treat people how you want to be treated. Do a good job at whatever you do and keep it moving.
Keep it pushing.
Yeah.
We're going to close it out.
Yeah.
Steve, I know I have...
How about this? Ask me what my top 3 chocolate chip spots are.
Okay, what is your top 3 chocolate chip spots in the city?
One place is called Culture Coffee Shop. They have one of the best chocolate chip cookies. That same burger spot that I can't think of, they have chocolate chip cookies on their menu. And then if you're in Dumbo, there's a French pastry shop just right by Manhattan Bridge. I forget the name of it, but they have an excellent chocolate chip cookie.
Okay, fantastic. Steve, I want to say thank you for your time, your wisdom. I also want to say thank you for your patience, because I probably recorded at least 5 or 6 podcast episodes with you that have never come out.
I know.
Have you felt the way? Have you felt a little salty about it?
Absolutely.
You do?
Wasting my fucking time?
Yeah. But no, the vibe was off. This is dropping. This is coming out.
It's better drop. I like this.
Are you going to drop me?
This is the way the podcast should have always gone from the beginning.
But it wasn't like that
Yeah.
last time. I was like, I'm not putting out, because I was like in my head and it just wasn't feeling right or whatever. But
I feel like, for some reason we switched up and went outside. I think if we would have kept it going outside, it could have been this good. I think you were just off that day.
I was off. I was 100% off. My pH was all the way off.
We probably should even just try. I think we probably should have just canceled that day.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm glad we finally did it. This shit is dropping. If it's not, you could drop me. Or if you could catch me, you know what I'm saying? We could shoot the 5. But again, Steve, I appreciate you as a brother. I've known Steve for over 24 years. He's always shown up.
25 years.
25?
25. We met in 1999.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, we did.
1999.
For real? You remember that?
Yeah.
So 25 years I've known this guy, and he's literally become our actual brother. So I'm thankful for just who you are. One time a young person asked me, like, how do you network? I said, I don't network. I cultivate relationships over time. And this is one of those examples where you're just like, I feel like I'm rambling. You want to get out of here?
Yep.
We out of here. Peace.
Peace.